I am ready for tree number 3, but before I start tree number 3, I reloaded up my water bottle so we could water the next set of trees. But to get the water, I had to go into my fish tank, and then I realized I hadn't fed the bass today. So I have a bass that the kids caught up at the lake a year ago or so, and it's one of my fish in my fish tank. So I water all my trees with fish water. So I have some goldfish in the fish tree, or the fish tank forest, ficus forest, now Premna and Melina forest, right over there. I have goldfish in there, and I have a whole bunch of feeder goldfish up top with the bass down below. So circle of life, yeah, he has to get food, and I've been giving him some treats with the feeder goldfish. So let's show you a quick feeding of the bass. I want to tackle this 3-trunk Premna here, so we're going to do that one next. So I have no idea what this is going to look like when we take it apart, if it's going to be separated into kind of a Premna forest, if you will, or if we will leave it as is and have a triple trunk tree, which looks pretty cool. I've got some movement on the one tree here on your left, my right, and this in the middle kind of goes a little bit to that direction as well, and then the tree on your right, my left right here, also obviously swoops that way a little bit. So let's get rid of some of this pine bark and some of this sandy soil here, and let's see what we have to work with tree number 3. It looks like the trees appear to be fused together pretty decently here. Oh, look, there's even some, not pumice, but I always get these perlite. I always get those two mixed up. Perlite, there's some perlite hugging right there. A little bit of perlite or some styrofoam or something. Yeah, so we've got what looks to be kind of a neat little root structure down here. I love roots. And again, going back to the North Shore where I showed you that tree over rock, the root over rock, the whole tree was over the rock. A lot of the pictures that I keep over all my hiking trips are the hiking trails that go over trees, a lot of time pines, hemlocks, some spruces, and some white pines, red pines, all kinds of different trails where the roots are just all up on the surface and you walk through. I just love exposed roots. Probably not the healthiest for the tree, but if they have a lot of roots down below and they get a nice hard coarse kind of bark-like texture on the top, or probably smoothed off though from all the elements of water and people walking over and touching them. But they survive and the trees are doing okay. And so I want to create some landscape forest scenes in my future bonsai endeavors that have a lot of roots. This tree reminds me of that because all of these roots coming out from 3 different trunks. Super fun. This is a little low. I don't want that one. I'll just cut that one off. There's a little bit of a wound there, like an old tree was branch was in there. Could be a new critter. There's 1, 2, 3 roots that are kind of coming over and wild on this side. Cut an old root off back here. Back here, there's a root that comes way down here, and this one crosses here. So now on a lot of trees, when people are looking for that radial root pattern and they cut away roots, they don't want to have them girdle or hurt the tree, suffocate the tree. But if I'm going to create a scene where roots just go all over the place, they are going to probably go left and right and curl around. I still want to lay them in a place as best as possible. And here's a candidate right here with this root going down here, and then this one coming over this way, and there's roots over here. This could be exposed roots right here on a trail. All of this nice roots right here, we could leave on the tree instead of cutting them off like many people do in the bonsai world to have them radio and grow down. Some people might cut some of these off. I might keep a couple of these and try to get kind of that landscapey look where we have a whole bunch of roots over a hiking trail, and you walk right through this tree on a trail right here, and there's roots from this tree or set of trees, and we can have roots from a set of trees over here. So that's where if I had multiple trees, maybe I'll repot the final 2 trees in this pot right here. Might be too shallow, but there's all some exposed roots up high, and then the other trees over here, and the path is right here amongst all those exposed roots. It might be a little bit too small though. I'm not entirely sure. I gotta really see what's gonna happen down here though for me to know that answer. So we can get rid of some of these thick roots down here because again, those are growing out on the bottom. So let's get rid of this one. All right. So any roots that are growing straight down here in the bottom, I'm gonna cut away. For all these roots that I actually want to keep now up on top, because I might try to grow this tree as one of those trees that has some exposed roots on the surface. But to pot it in that pot I just showed you, I certainly would have to have it flatter. And so I think by making those cuts, I accomplished that a little bit. And maybe the pot's big enough, I'm just gonna have to stick with just one tree here and worry about the root structure maybe in a future planting. So if this is right here and all the roots can only go out, they can't go down anymore, I could get more massive roots to grow long and leggy, and then I can have them exposed in future plantings. We have some that are underneath though that are probably not gonna be on the surface. So I'm still cutting some roots from the bottom to try to flatten up this bottom section. There we go. We're going to leave some stuff on top for a potential exposed root look. If I need a little deeper pot, I could get rid of this shallow oval pot here, and I could try this one here. That gives me a lot more depth, which is nice. And I can leave some of the roots a little bit higher on this planting. I think I might, I don't know. I think this is wider, and I think it'd be easier to get what I'm looking for. So we have a whole bunch of holes. I made extra drainage holes in this pot here because I found these oval pots with these little tiny drain holes were just not enough. So we have to find some drain holes for that. Or we have to find some screens for that and cover some of that up. So we got some recycled drain screens right here and here and here. Need one more if I have one. Sure I do. And then we're going to put some soil. So this is going to sit up higher than perhaps normal for me. But again, I want some exposed root feel. So let's see what I still have showing up here. I like this as the front, I think, a little bit better. And then we'll put some more soil in there. Now, I don't mind if some roots stick up at first, right? Because I want to have some exposed roots on this path. That would be a future path in a forest planting. So we got some roots, and we'll also we'll put sphagnum moss on this so these stay alive and keep growing longer. And then as all these roots, like back here, if you see all these roots now that are exposed, as they grow longer, we can wrap them around in the future for this kind of contrived root system here that people would walk by. So I don't mind that these roots are sticking out at the moment. We're just going to go ahead and put a little more soil on, and then the rest will be a little layer of sphagnum moss. So I got this root coming way over here. This could become a real big thick, look at this right here. This is 4, 5, 6 inches long. If I can tuck that in a little bit for now, we'll let those roots continue to grow so I can possibly have some surface roots that people would walk around. Here's one right here that's coming out of the ground. There's one right here, coming right down this right here, boom, down here and here. This one's coming over here. There's some in the back, looking really nice. So now if I can get some sphagnum moss on here, again, we'll just break up this. I don't have any sifted stuff down here, but we can just kind of give this, again, a real thin layer on top. Break it up with my thumbs and fingers, and we'll give this a little moisture barrier to protect these roots and hopefully get some more roots to grow from those. Time for a good watering. We've got the sphagnum moss where we want it. It's going to provide that moisture barrier. Really, it's going to provide protection for those roots. Maybe get some semi-aerial roots. Not really aerial from the tree, but aerial from those roots that were sticking up on the surface. Keep them really nice and moist, extra long with this sphagnum moss that won't dry out as fast in my room. Keep the tree nice and moist throughout. Let's see how that's looking now. One of the nice things about having multiple pots at your disposal, if you don't have lots of pots, keep acquiring them if you can. Plastic training pots, good ceramic pots, and you can go ahead and have pots for the next project you're working on. I have several pots to choose from. I really like these flat pots because then I can promote the growth to the width, not straight down. You get that real radial pattern, not down in the... Now this is still a fun little triple trunk tree. Super nice. Now it's probably as wide as the pot used to be, probably wider. Oh yeah, it's definitely wider, but a little narrower, but it's a much more fun pot to have, wouldn't you agree? All right, so it's packed down really pretty good with the sphagnum moss, looking pretty good. And there's our little triple trunk. So there's the view from the back, or that could be the front someday. I chose that as the front right now, so I have to decide if I really want that to be the front. Or was that the front? Maybe that was the front. No, I think this was the front. But we're just trying to keep this alive, so we'll worry about the front later, so we're not going to get too drastic with the cuts. We'll trim that down a little bit here. We'll trim this one up here and here. We're going to make this one shorter. And we're going to make this one shorter. Because if this is the front, I've got this eyesore staring right at you. And there's this new branch growing back here with a couple of branches, so this could become, right here, this could become somewhat of a leader back here. Yeah, it looks a little messy in there. But we just want this tree to be alive. We're repotting on December 1st. Not traditionally a good time to repot in Minnesota unless you have a really nice plant room that takes care of you. And this plant room is taking care of me. Okay, so we're getting rid of some big leaves and some bigger growth here, promoting some new growth. This one down here is pretty low in the tree, but we're going to keep it for right now. This goes on the inside of the series of trees, but we're just going to leave that there right now. Just get rid of that big leaf. Got another one. Look, another one growing right there. That would be 3 branches from the same spot. We'll just cut that off right away. I probably can clean up this scar just a little bit more. Not sure if that was a me cut from before or just from the nursery. So hopefully that heals up a little bit better. I think we'll shorten this branch out here by a little bit. Ah, I just cut the whole thing off. I went too far, too fast, but sometimes those decisions are made for me from critters. So we just have this branch now, which is growing up here, and this one's growing up, so that's okay. I don't mind that I made that mistake, but slow down, Dave. Everybody slow down with Dave. Help me to slow down. All right, so clean up some of these wounds a little bit. All right, so we've cut this up. I'm gonna cut this really short to maybe promote some upward growth. I just don't know what to do with this big long branch back here. I got this nice compact tree here. Pretty compact, and then this major. I will make it to here. How about to here? There we go. That helps. Now it sticks straight right there and still kind of weird, but maybe we'll, see, this is where the critters chewed, right here. Maybe we'll get a branch that's gonna grow. That's not a branch, that's just a leaf that's wandering. Maybe we'll get a little, a couple of these. Here's an internode, and here's an internode, and here's an internode. Maybe we'll get some growth there, and we can fix that tree in time. But we'll leave it now to grow. We'll see where that grows. I'm really more excited about the roots down below in a couple of years. So we'll let this grow all this summer, and we'll kind of see what happens. So there's tree number 3, with hopefully some ground surface roots that'll be really nice and thicken up over time in a nice wide pot like this, maybe in a forest scene someday. There's that if it's the front, but of course it's planted too far in that part of the pot to be the front. So if this was a front and we had a nice old rock right here, this big old rock right there for decoration, well, isn't that nice? Maybe there's a rock over here. Nah, we're forcing the issue too much. But how about over here, this little one right there? I just like a lot of rocks in my scenes because my son and I, as we camp, we always have these trails with all these rocks and we climb them. But I want the roots to be okay and water to get to all of them, so I'm going to leave the rocks off right now, and this one is now ready to go put on the shelves. It is time for tree number 4. We are cranking through the Premnas today to make more space in my plant room. So on the next episode, I can put some little tiny cuttings into the grapewood pot, which is all ready to make into a bonsai exhibit, if you will, of little new cute trees. A bunch of shohin trees. And here is pot number 4, tree number 4. Let's see what this tree has to offer us. So as we get this close to bare rooted, this was another twin trunk that we chopped because of critter chop. So if you can look real closely here on this big tree, this is all bare from the critter, but yet this branch is growing really still, and this right up here, above this chopped area, there's still a vein up here, and look at this long growth. And then look at this one right here. This could probably split into 2 trees, which I think it might be, and look at the growth on that. 1, 2, 3 trunks from that one spot. So we're going to be able to pick and choose which one of those stay. That one's coming off right now because that's at a weird angle. So we have 2 trees that are just kind of interwoven. Do we keep them as a split trunk tree? Do we do a twin trunk? I think we might keep the twin trunk. I think from this direction, when you don't see the scar, this could become the new tree, and this is tree number 1, and the scar's in the back. No, the scar's all the way around the front there. How is that branch alive? So this branch right here, how is this branch alive? I've got chew all the way around that. That is completely amazing to me that is still alive. We are going to cut this down to size because that's just really big. A lot of critter chew on this one. This one is really kind of messed up. I'm not sure how this one's going to heal over time. But this is why we're experimenting. We don't throw anything away. We just keep plugging away and try and experiment. Oop, that one flew up into my bench. So this has a branch that's coming out low here, and it's growing up through the tree branch over here. Look at this guy right here. This green branch right there, right there. Look at all that nice light green growth. It's growing on the bottom, it's growing on the top, it's growing inside the crevice there. Lots of branch, this huge, huge growth here. These great big leaves. I think we're just gonna cut it off. It's just not working for me. Now we have that curvy branch right there, so we have two trees right there, twin trunk. Do we take it apart or do we leave it together? I do like the root structure again. We've been talking a lot about root structure on there. We probably could be cutting a lot of these roots off. This could be a possible candidate for root over rock, the way it's curled on the one side. Kind of a fun little tree for this oval pot here. This little twin trunk with a lot of roots. We'll cut some more off, leave some up high. So again, this has a root that comes down big and curves around there, and this one has a couple of roots coming down there. It's super gnarly. It was chewed off right there. When you turn it around, there's these roots back up here, might be a little high. But again, if I want some exposed root scenery down the road, I could put this tree with the other one I just did. So I'm just gonna kind of leave some of those roots alone. I am gonna leave these two to grow. I have to figure out which one I want to grow though. Look at this long one right here, this long shoot right here. These are like almost a foot long. That's six inches for sure. It's kind of too close to the inside of the tree and it's growing straight up, so we're going to cut that one off. So if I put this in this pot, I'm probably going to have to angle it a little bit. So we're going to angle it so it curves back towards, yeah, there. I could try to separate them a little bit like that. There we go, huh? Separate them a little bit. We got a root right here that, you know, I would normally cut off, but I'm just going to leave that in for roots that can grow around. We can maybe put a little rock in there someday. A little tiny rock, like a rock got wedged between the two trees. That could be kind of fun. So let's go ahead. We are going to get rid of some of these longer roots. Not too much, remember, because I want some wraparound potential in the future. Some of these are kind of like a Nigel Saunders Hail Mary cut. I don't know where these roots are going to. But we don't want the straight down tap roots ones anyway. So I'm able to cut these down to size. Make more room. I'm not cutting these roots as aggressively as I normally would, because I do want some of these roots to get longer and thicker to see if I can create some roots again that'll be on the surface. So that's the theme for today, is keeping some of these roots for future. And if they don't work in the future, well then we'll cut them off. And then we'll do more of our radial root pattern and we'll be in good shape. And again, we won't see these roots in this potting because they'll be buried with either the soil or some sphagnum moss. There's a couple here that are exposed though, right here. This guy we can tuck in. We got a root right here, a root right there, and a root right there. So I like to see those. We want to see some roots for the future. Give it a good watering with this repot. It's going to be underneath the lights, my grow lights, my LED grow lights, in the closet part of my plant room, which has kind of that greenhouse effect with the plastic if I close it up for better moisture and keeping the heat in there. And since we have a little bit of sphagnum moss left, we'll just try to make a little bit of a scene here of some sphagnum moss. Since the trees did really well with the sphagnum moss on there, we'll give this a little bit of a a cushion of moisture here in between the trees where the roots are growing. Some of the roots that want to come to that surface. And we'll again give that a little bit of water. All right. We are making a big old mess today. We loving this, working on the bonsai. I needed this. It's a week overdue, right? Yeah. Okay. So you're looking at the proposed front at the moment because when you switch it around, you get the big old scar back there. So now we're going to see what we can trim before we put this under the lights and call it a day. So we got this branch growing on the inside right here, this branch right there. So let's cut that one off. We don't want that one to intrude. This one is also kind of blocking that, so let's do that. This one now grows up and over. So we have two super tall trees. We're not going to keep both of them. We're going to have to pick one. This one comes more straight up from the trunk. This one has some curve to it. I just like the movement. Let's go for that one. And hope it all blends in one day, right? Here we go. And we'll cut it down one more to here. Primary tree, secondary tree. We'll see, we got some roots here, 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 and there. We'll see what happens with that. And so for that tree right there, we're just going to cut that down at the moment. We got a branch growing straight up right there. We'll cut that. We got one growing towards the back under here. This one I just want to shorten and shorten and shorten. You see how this one's growing right at you? We're going to take that one off. This could be the leader. This can be the leader. This could be the leader. We'll promote that by cutting that off a little bit more. So any one of these could be the leader here. We'll just kind of see what happens over time. We'll let this thing shoot out, and then we'll pick the winner based on what we see grow. So, nice. I think we should just leave it alone, and we should call it number 4. So there we have Premna repot number 4. That was just what the doctor ordered. There we go. We have 5 new Premnas. We had 4. This was a cutting that was just in one of the trees. We just made that into its own little cute little tree. It's a cutting that we'll put either here on the heat mat, or we'll put it over there into the really nice lights that are closer to the trees. We've got the big one over the rock here. So we got the rock right here. So that turned out really fun here. We'll see what that one looks like after a while. We got the sucker one here that's attached to this guy, so we'll see which one ends up looking better in the long run. We've got the flat triple trunk one right there. That looks really fun right now, and like actually kind of looks like 3 old trees that are just kind of big, and we'll get them smaller and compact over time. And then the one we finished with last, another twin trunk that we could have split. I decided to leave it together. We've got some movement on this trunk that's kind of fun, and this is a brand new shoot. We're gonna see, the critters got to these trees this year in one of the yards we kept them in before our workshops, and we're just looking to save them. And so I have adopted these trees and making them my own, and I'm super excited to see what happens in the long run. Hey, that does it, everyone. Thanks for connecting with me today and watching the Premna repots. 4 of them, actually ended up getting 5. I've got some work to do yet. I got some cuttings I need to put into some soil. We're gonna put these back on the shelf now, make sure they've got the warmth, they've got the humidity, they've got the water, they've got the light. They're gonna be in good shape, and we'll give you updates along the way. So thank you so much for watching. Happy December, everybody. The meteorological winter has begun, and we've got highs in the 40s again coming up in the next couple of days after a little cool down. So it's been really odd in Minnesota this year, but we'll take the nice weather anytime. Take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you all in the next one.